Hello. In this paper, we propose Explain and Test, an interactive machine learning framework for exploring text embeddings. Visualizing text at scale can have many utilities, from data exploration to communicating insights and detecting outliers and anomalies. Recent examples of large scale text visualization reveal potentially harmful data in language model training datasets and fraudulent works in visualization of biomedical papers. We would like to study and explore mechanisms that allow exploration of such large text visualizations to enable insight discovery and understanding. Let us first look at the explain and test framework. We generate a text embedding visualization by parsing the text first and converting the sentences into high dimensional vectors called sentence embeddings that we then project and visualize into 2D space. Using a clustering algorithm like k-means or dvscan, we can cluster the text projections into different groups. A user can then lasso a cluster of their choice, and our framework can generate natural language explanations for the clustering and also visualize the most important phrases that separate the cluster from the rest. A user can also embed new unseen text, and the framework can show the location of the user input onto the projection map. They can use this as a means to discover clusters of their choice or test the natural language explanations. I will now describe how we create the text embedding and visualize them. A usual method in natural language processing is to transform the text into vector representations. This allows them to be used as inputs to a machine learning model, extract important information from it, and compare by calculating the similarity scores between the vectors. We work with two different representations of text. I'll describe them now. The first representation is a bag of words representation, where each feature is a vector that corresponds to how many times a particular word appears in the text. In this example, you can see a set of embedding bag of word vectors corresponding to the text here. The other embedding method that we've used is a transformer model like SentenceBird, which transforms the text into dense vectors that encode semantical information about it. Text embeddings are then visualized into 2D space using a dimensionality reduction algorithm like t-SNE or UMAP. So once a user lassos a cluster, we generate two different kinds of explanations. I'll go into them now. We use a support vector machine based model to fit the text inside the cluster and visualize the most important phrases weighted by their relative importance. We call them contrastive phrase clouds. Examples of selected clusters show important phrases that relate to a particular topic, as in the case of color visualization cluster, sports visualization cluster, and visualization for machine learning cluster. We also use a large language model like GPT-4 to generate natural language explanations by prompting it to find the most common theme within the selected sentence. We can also prompt GPT-4 to generate concise and meaningful cluster labels to automatically cluster the projection view. Language models can sometimes hallucinate and be unreliable at times, so we allow users to test an explanation. A text input can be transformed into a sentence embedding, reprojected and visualized onto the existing text visualizations. And if this reprojected text lies inside the cluster corresponding to the explanation can be trustworthy. A user can also semantically search the visual projection space to identify subregions of clusters they would like to investigate further. We show the usability of our framework in a few different scenarios. A researcher surveying the landscape of a field can visualize and explore text from academic papers. Using a dataset of visualization paper titles, the text visualization clusters according to different visualization topics. Lassoing some clusters provide explanations that expand on them. In contrast, the important key phrases are informative but do not capture an overarching meaning in the text, and the burden of sense making is left to the user. Reprojection allows users to highlight two subclusters in the visualization for ML cluster and test an explanation for uncertainty visualization in the cluster for scientific computing. In another scenario, while exploring a classical literary text like Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, one finds the text cluster according to various themes and characters in the text. The explanations provide a concise and coherent narrative insight, and reprojection confirms the clustering according to various themes and scenes described in the text. Further comparison between natural language explanations and contrastive phase crowds confirm that the natural language explanation provides a nuanced and comprehensive cluster description for both the usage scenarios. In summary, we demonstrate our explain and test framework for exploring text embedding visualizations. Our qualitative results show that language model generated explanations are concise and informative and are far superior than an interpretable model in terms of expressiveness. Furthermore, testing an explanation provides a way to verify the language model generated outputs and can be used for semantic search in visual projections. We invite the users to find more about our work in our paper. Thank you.
Hello, here we present the Text Cluster Explainer, a tool that allows users to interact with visual projections of text embeddings at scale. Users can automatically cluster the data and lasso a cluster to generate informative cluster explanations, insights, and further information about the data within the cluster. They can also use text projections to embed new data.